Okay, so this is one that you really can't get wrong. How do you get legally married in Italy? One tiny slip up and you genuinely won't be able to get married. Ciao, I'm Lucy. I am the founder of Lista and a wedding planner, and I've planned over 200 weddings in Italy. I'm here every week with information to help you plan your Italian wedding. I want you to have the most up-to-date, transparent advice so that you have an excellent time planning your wedding. If you want more videos that will help you plan in a really enjoyable way, click below, comment, or if you can, subscribe. So the first and most important thing on this whole matter is where you're from. So I'm going to run through 2 UK citizens getting married because that's the process that I do most commonly. We also work with US, Australian and citizens from all over the world. But today I'll go through the UK options. If you have ever been an Italian citizen, then you need to declare that from the start, as that will also affect your process that you go through. So to get married as a UK citizen, so the first thing to get straight is your documents. You will need your passport and your birth certificate. The first step to make is actually booking your town hall in Italy. So this is the body or the comune that is gonna do your ceremony for you, and your venue will be able to tell you which commune that you need to work with, or if you have a planner, they will do that for you. You need to book the town hall, the commune, you need to book your appointment, your actual ceremony, and often town halls only do these at certain times of the day and sometimes on certain days of the week. I'd suggest that actually before you book your venue, if you really want to have a legal ceremony, you obviously need to consider this whole element as part of booking your venue. So knowing whether the venue can have a ceremony, a legal ceremony, knowing whether you can use the local commune, what time they have the ceremony, all of these things might affect whether you would book a certain venue or not. So anyway, let's imagine that you've booked the town hall and you've got the appointment and you know that you can go ahead. Now, some town halls will have modules that you need to complete, so you'll need to submit some information to actually make your booking, and some of them will also take a deposit. They all work differently, like everything in Italy, so you'll need to find out from the commune themselves. With civil weddings, you can only start the paperwork process 6 months before your wedding date, and this is super strict. So the first step to do at home is to book your registry office in the UK, where you will go and get your certificate of no impediment. You will both have one of these, and this is basically a document that says you are allowed to get married. You're not married to someone else, there's no issues with you getting married. You get this from your registry office. So you book the appointment for 6 months before your wedding ceremony. You go to this appointment, you take the documents. They will ask you to bring certain things, usually your passport and your birth certificate, but please ask them what they need, because again, maybe they'll be slightly different between each registry office. And you go and you have your appointment, and then they post the bans, which basically means for 3 weeks on a notice board somewhere, it will say that you guys want to get married, and people can raise any objections to this if they have some dodgy secret information about you. 3 weeks later, you get your certificate of no impediment. While you're waiting for your certificate of no impediment, you could go and get your statutory declaration. So this is another document that you need to get signed and completed in front of a solicitor. You need one of these each. Once you've got your 2 statutory declarations and your 2 certificates of no impediment, you then send these off to be legalised. And if you go on the government website and type legalise a document, you will find a link, and you basically book your documents in, you get the address and you post them off to be legalised. They come back a few weeks later, depending on how busy they are and the time of year. This can take different lengths of time. Eventually you get your 4 documents back, and they've all got the stamp that they've been made into legal documents on the back. At this point, if you have a planner or someone helping you to do your ceremony, because you need it translated into English and you will need some support anyway, so you might as well have them help you with this slightly more tricky paperwork bit, it makes sense to take photos of those documents and send them over to your planner so that they can share them with the town hall. And then the town hall at least have digital copies of your documents, and they can check for accuracy, because it is absolutely imperative that these documents are 100% accurate. If there is any issue with them, you will not be allowed to get married. So the whole document needs to be accurate, but the areas that specifically need to match up are that your CNIs are both identical. So the job titles, your address, all of the details, like for like, need to be the same on the CNIs. Your names need to perfectly match your passports. So if there's any issue there, you will not be able to get married. And then this carries across to your statutory declarations as well. Your date of birth, your place of birth, your names, they need to perfectly match your passport. So please make sure that that is accurate, and sending it to the town hall ahead of time does just give you a slight contingency. If there's any issue at all, you may have time to go and get the documents redone. Then you need to post your documents over to Italy to the person that is helping you there, because they need to be translated and legalised in Italy. This is usually done through a translation company and a solicitor or a judge. It's actually a judge that needs to legalise them, so it's very official, and it takes a certain amount of time to get done as well. At the moment, we recommend using DHL if you're posting from the UK to Italy. It seems to be the most reliable and quickest way to get your documents there, and also the safest. So once your documents have been translated and legalised in Italy, which can vary in cost, but it tends to be between 200 and 250 euro, they then need to go to the town hall. And again, it's just good practice to take those ahead of time. So if you've got that planner or support in Italy, they should be translating and legalising it and taking it over to the town hall for you. So when you arrive in Italy, you will need to go to your declaration appointment, and that is usually 2 or 3 days before the ceremony. So you go to that with your spouse, just the two of you. You don't need your witnesses, but you do need to take your passports. You need to take the addresses and a photo of the passport page of your 2 witnesses. And just a side note, witnesses can be family. So you go to your appointment. It's usually maximum about half an hour long, and the representative from the town hall is usually just checking your paperwork and completing the final kind of wedding certificate that gets filed away. This appointment can sometimes be a little uncomfortable because classic Italy, there can be lots of conversations and sometimes it can sound a little heated, but actually everything is almost always perfectly fine, and if there is a problem it usually gets sorted out very quickly. I've had quite a few couples wonder what on earth is going on in some of the meetings, and actually nothing is happening, but it can just feel that way. And obviously it's a slightly nervous thing to go to, you know, if this meeting doesn't go right, you may not be able to get married. There's a lot that is pinned on it, but you'll have sent your documents before a couple of times, like we've said, so there will be no issue if you follow this process. And as I've briefly mentioned, you do need to have someone to legally translate your ceremony. So you need someone up there with the town hall representative who can understand Italian and translate what is happening to, it's actually to you, it's not even to your guests, it's so that you understand what's happening and what you're getting into. After the wedding, you will receive a bilingual wedding certificate, and that is the perfect thing to take home. It works everywhere, everyone will accept that as your proof if you want to change your name. And that's it. Simple, hey? I actually believe that it is quite simple, and I think that you'll read a lot on the internet about how complicated it is, but actually when you take yourself through those steps and you see them on paper, they're not many, and it's really well worth it. I personally had a legal wedding in Italy and it was absolutely wonderful. It was so nice to get married in front of everybody in that moment, to have a certificate from an Italian wedding, and also the promises that are made in the Italian civil ceremony are really nice. So there's a lot to think about if you're considering having a civil wedding, but in my opinion, well worth it. So remember that you can download this as a step-by-step guide from our website, and if you are part of our membership, the club, you will be able to access a bit more information on this. I've got a download in there of the actual order of ceremony and a few other helpful tricks and tips. Thank you for staying with me right to the end. My goal is to get this to as many couples as possible that need to hear it. So if you could kindly subscribe below, it would really help me do that. Thank you. I'll see you next week.